I found an old tube camera in my garage from the 1980s and it actually works. I'm using it right now. I'm kidding, it's a new app. Meet the AaronCam app. Or is it the AaronCam app?
Aaron. Where is Aaron right now?
AaronCam turns your iPhone into a late 70s analog video tube camera by faithfully modeling the physics of this old technology. Capture video with those gorgeous light trails and weird purple damage streaks you have seen in archival footage, or may even remember from your childhood. And I have to say, it's one of the best old school video emulators I've used. I personally never had a video tube camera, but I did have a very early Sony Video 8 camera that my grandfather gave me back in the mid-80s. So it was a similar SD resolution, but it used a CCD, which eliminated the image burn-in and trails of the video tube cameras. Here's more behind the idea of this app from the guy who developed it, and yep, his name is Aaron.
My parents got me an old RCA CC004 at a garage sale when I was 7, and I went from making Little Red Riding Hood to co-founding Masterclass and Outlier.org. Sadly, these cameras are aging poorly. Many barely work, even when I get them in new condition. They're fully analog and function nothing like a modern video camera. So I set out to replicate them on an iPhone by accurately modeling their physical and electrical properties rather than reproducing just the visual effects like prior attempts. I was nostalgic for these green light trails and purple damage the video tubes in the camera produced.
Often when we talk about retro camera apps, we think of vintage Super 8mm film, and those can be a lot of fun. But doing old school video has its own nostalgic aesthetic that I really like. But evidently, this was not an easy app to create.
It ended up being much more complicated than I thought it would be to get it working. It took a year of dabbling, several fried cameras, and yielded some fancy patent-pending signal processing. So you can see side by side how by building a physics model of the video tube, the app naturally reproduces the visual effects of the real thing. The only way to do this was to run the iPhone at 240 frames per second to mimic an analog response. I accumulated those frames as electrical influence on a virtual photoconductive layer, and then the image is produced by scanning that layer from the simulated video tube.
A lot of that info is above my pay grade. But in the end, what matters is it works and looks great. And the app's interface? Well, it's very simple and easy to use. You got the record button, a zoom lever, and a lens picker. You can also do selfie shots, like the way I opened the video. Then you've got an indoor or outdoor setting for the white balance, and that's it, just like the old cameras had. Then you've got BLC, which is backlight compensation and forces a higher exposure. There are 3 settings, low, medium, and high, and it works. I've been using this when shooting in low light. Then there's a settings tab that lets you choose the tube type, brand new or old. The main difference I see is brand new is more colorful and old is desaturated, much less color. Although there's probably some other stuff going on there too. Now here are 2 shots, one using the old tube look and then the other using the brand new tube look. You can see the difference mainly in how much saturation there is. And then there's a CRT effect, which adds scan lines over the footage like it's being watched on an old TV. I like that look and used it a lot in my sample footage. And yeah, you can shoot with this app in dark settings or at night too. Well, sort of anyway. I found that the 24mm really is the only one that works, and you need a good amount of light. But you do get those great light trails. Now you might be thinking, couldn't you just do this effect in post? Yeah, probably, but it definitely wouldn't be as easy, and it's unlikely it would look as real. I hate how in some movies when they show old video or old film, you can tell that it was just shot on an Alexa, a modern day camera, and they did a post effect that looks way too clean and ultimately fake. In a perfect world, you would use the real thing, whatever video camera or film camera that is, but if you don't have that, then using a dedicated app like this to emulate it in camera is a great option, and to me, it just feels way more authentic. Speaking of authentic, the camera shoots at 30 frames per second, again mimicking the old video camera frame rates of the day. But the files it produces are bigger than SD resolution. They are 2048 by 1536. At least most of them are. I did have some files capture at 640 by 480, and so I'm not sure if it's a bug, but every CRT shot I did was at full resolution, and the ones without that effect on were smaller size. Not a big deal since we're emulating vintage video anyway, but I do prefer the higher resolution for editing. If you're going straight to social media though, not that big of a deal. One thing to keep in mind though is there is no stabilization, or if there is, it's very minimal, and there's not a setting for it. But again, that's how old cameras looked, and it's really part of the charm. One nice touch they added that I like as well, the file names tell you what lens you shot with and if it has the CRT effect on or not. That's pretty cool and really helps when you're logging your footage or getting your footage in the editing app. So this probably isn't an app you're going to use all the time. I use it to shoot quasi-home movies, just having fun. And I do think it is a lot of fun and will be a valuable addition to a mobile filmmaking kit. Oh, and did I mention that it's free? It is, at least right now. And the developer Aaron says he might make a pro version too in the future. So if you want to shoot some nostalgic looking home movies, retro B-roll, social media kind of stuff, or need to emulate a vintage video look for a film or TV project, then yeah, I do recommend checking out the AaronCam app. And by the way, a quick shout out and a thank you to John Duncan who brought this app to my attention on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. If you're interested in the app, I've got a link in the description. Thanks for watching.